Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the release kickoff for milestone 15.2. My name is David DeSanto. I'm the VP of Product here at Gitlab. I'll be your guide on today's journey into the depths of Gitlab 15.2. I'm joined by some of the members of our awesome product team. They will be presenting their section updates, and they'll be presenting in the following order. Sam Light, Principal Product Manager for the Protect stage, will provide updates for our SEC section. Taylor McCaslin, Principal Product Manager for our Model Ops stage, will provide updates for our Model Ops section. Kenny Johnson, Senior Director of Product for our Ops and Analytics sections, will provide our Ops section updates. Josh Lambert, Director of Product for our Enablement and SaaS Platform sections, will provide our Enablement section updates. And Ulrike Lewinsky, Director of Product for our Dev section, will bring us home with updates for, of course, the Dev section. We're focused on delivering value iteratively with a focus on our FY23 product investment themes. Our first theme is GitLab hosted first. I want to note for everyone that does not mean GitLab hosted only. Apparently my tongue needs more caffeine today. But GitLab.com is the largest known self-managed deployment. And we know if we can meet our requirements, we can meet our users' requirements. Our second theme is improve key workflow usability. This theme is focused on improving the workflows most critical to our users. We know improving learnability will drive multi-stage adoption, making GitLab more valuable for our users. And the final theme is extend our lead in CI/CD. DevOps doesn't end until applications are deployed into production, and we want to make this as seamless and frictionless as possible for our users. Before I hand it over to Sam, we have a short public service announcement. On this live stream, we will be discussing our product roadmap, which includes upcoming features and functionality. It is important to note that the information presented here is for informational purposes only. Please do not rely on it for purchasing or planning decisions. We plan very ambitiously here at GitLab, and all details discussed on this live stream are subject to change. The timing of any products, features, and functionality remain at the sole discretion of GitLab. And with that, I'll hand it over to Sam to kick us off.
Thanks, David. So today I'll be going over a few features from the SEC section. Almost all of our features focus on the key usability and workflow improvements theme. The first one is group level policy management, and this one actually just missed 15.1, but it will for sure be going out in 15.2. In fact, it's already been enabled on gitlab.com. And this allows users to manage their security policies at the group level. So for example, I can manage a scan execution policy here at the group level, and this will flow down. If I switch over to a project level view, you'll see that now this policy has been inherited from the upstream group. One of the other features that we're working on around our security policies is improvements to allow for interactive validation in the security policy editor itself. So this is when you're editing in YAML mode. It allows you to edit that YAML and see any errors live there, similar to many of the other editors in GitLab. Another key improvement that I'm really looking forward to is our operational container scanning feature. This one also just barely slipped out of 15.1, but we'll be wrapping it up here in 15.2, which is moving this functionality to general availability and out of the alpha early access state that it is now. You're already able to manage these on a per agent basis to set it to scan your production cluster for vulnerabilities. We're looking to add support for security policies so that you can have a scan execution policy that also does the same thing. And again, just shoring it up with some additional bug fixes and usability improvements so that it's completely ready for production use for you to keep your production clusters secure. Shifting over to DAST. DAST has been working on numerous usability improvements around the configuration of DAST. They've finished a lot of those. They're going to be wrapping up the CI/CD configuration improvements here in 15.2. Specifically, they're looking to add in a badge where you go in the configuration page to enable DAST. If it shows not enabled or enabled, they'll be adding in a status badge here up at the top, so that you're easily able to have that continuity from one page to the next and see which scanner profiles, which profiles are in use, as well as what the status is for your DAST scans on that project. Additionally, the DAST team is going to be continuing their work on their browser-based crawler. which is a really exciting feature. It's early access, it's beta right now, but they're going to be continuing to improve that and get that ready for general availability. And then lastly, we're going to be continuing improvements on our SAST and on our vulnerability management teams. Almost all of those are centered around scalability, bug fixes, and performance improvements, which of course are critical to keep the product working smoothly and at scale so that teams are able to triage those vulnerabilities quickly. With that, I'll be turning it over to Taylor.
Hi everyone, my name is Taylor McCaslin. I'm a principal product manager for GitLab's newest section, ModelOps. ModelOps is focused on enabling and empowering data scientists to better power their workloads across GitLab. Today I'll be talking about the Applied ML group, which is focused on making GitLab more intelligent with machine learning. In 15.2, our Applied ML group is continuing work on implementing the UI integration for our new ultimate feature called Suggested Reviewers. Suggested Reviewers uses a novel machine learning functionality to suggest a reviewer, likely with the context to review a code change in a merge request. This UI integration brings the functionality to the existing code reviewer UI, making it easier to choose relevant reviewers for the merge request. We're also integrating a new settings configuration for this so that you'll be able to enable it and disable it via the settings functionality. We've also recently published a blog post about what we've been up to over the last year since we acquired Unreview, the technology that powers this feature. So definitely check out this blog post if you want to hear more about what it means to bring machine learning to GitLab. And then finally, we're also accepting ultimate customers on gitlab.com to beta test this feature. We're still looking for customers, so if you're interested, here is the link to the form to fill that out, and we'd love to get you testing this feature. And that's all I've got. Now I'll hand it over to Kenny to talk about ops.
Awesome. Thanks, Taylor. And I'm super excited about the continued improvement to our suggested reviewers capability. Let me go ahead and share my screen. It is this one. All right. So my name is Kenny. I'm going to cover the ops section today. I just want to share that this is like my highlights of the highlights. So obviously go check out all the other kickoff videos from each individual group. There's a lot of really exciting stuff happening in 15.2 that I'm not able to cover today. First, a couple of public service announcements. In our configure group, we're working on adjusting our maintenance policy to ensure that we have a very consistent view of what versions of Kubernetes we support going forward. So stay on the lookout. We will be announcing that likely during the 15.2 milestone. And in the monitor group, we are performing a number of actions that are deprecating our previous metrics, logs, and tracing features, because actually this release in 15.2, we plan on releasing and launching the beta version of our integration with OpsTrace, company we acquired last fall, that will enable us to deploy on gitlab.com as a starting point, a complete observability solution for our users to use. So super excited about that. Going through the themes. Oh, and lastly, the Verify group is doing a hackathon, which I'm really excited about. We should see a lot of small usability improvements and new investigations into kind of bold ideas around being able to trigger pipelines and jobs from new workflow types like issue adjustments and merge request comments. So super excited to see the results from that hackathon that the team is planning in the 15.2 release. On the themes, so GitLab hosted first. We have a number of scalability and security issues that we're working on across Verify and package in particular. We have an entire direction about what we're doing to ensure the continued scaling of our CI service, particularly in large instances like gitlab.com. We've made a lot of strides over the last 6 months enabling CI decomposition in our database tables, and we'll continue to lean into further deconstructing those database tables so that we can not just allow ourselves to scale, but create new capabilities for our users. All right, on extending our lead in CI/CD. First, I wanted to highlight the pipeline simulator. So if you're used to using the pipeline editor, you know that you can edit and get a kind of lint view of, is the structure of my CI YAML syntax correct? But we're going to be adding in this release of 15.2 the ability to simulate or validate a pipeline for a specific pipeline source or trigger. First one we're going to be starting with is a git push event to the main or default branch on the project. But we're really excited about where this will go further, where you can add different pipeline triggers and get a sense of what is this pipeline going to look like if I commit to a development branch, or I create a new tag, or I push an event to the default branch. This will allow you to more rapidly understand if the CI configuration you've written is going to perform as you expected, reducing the cycle time for making CI pipeline definition adjustments. Next, this one I'm really excited about. We've seen increasing interest in migrating to GitLab package registries. And so we're going to be doing a spike this release in 15.2 around the automated import of packages from existing package repositories like Artifactory. I'm really excited about this work. It's a testament to how mature our package registry capabilities have gotten, that we have a lot of interest from users in migrating. Next, in the configure stage in our Kubernetes management capabilities, we've had the ability to attach an agent that is installed on your Kubernetes cluster to your GitLab instance or project or group. One of the troubling parts of doing that is that you don't necessarily get an immediate response about the status of that integration if the agent and your GitLab instance are effectively connected. And so in 15.2, we're going to be adding this integration status right on the agent detail page, so you can quickly get an understanding of what's the current status of my Kubernetes agent. I'm going to move on to usability. And so again, these are just a couple of the really fun usability improvements that we have. And I like to highlight ones that I think are developed from a deep understanding of our users' behaviors. So we recently added an admin view for runner fleet management, enabling administrators or group maintainers the ability to more effectively manage a fleet of runners that they are using for to enable their teams to perform CI/CD. And one of the first things we realized is that many users have stale runners. And so we wanted to not just highlight that to them, but also give them the ability to bulk delete stale runners. So we're going to be adding that functionality in 15.2. Next, again, we saw from user behavior interviews that users were creating many artifacts in CI jobs in particular. And when looking at a complete pipeline result, you would be looking at, hey, I want to download an artifact, but sometimes that list got very large and it was hard to find the specific artifact you're looking to download. So in 15.2, we'll be adding the ability to search when clicking on the download artifacts button and select a specific artifact that you're looking for download. Lastly, this one is also great from a survey that we did with users, where in our container registry, when you show the list of all the images in your container registry, a lot of times the path for those container images is generic. And so when you look visually, you would just see lists and lists of the same generic path. And so in 15.2, we're going to be adjusting that display to show an ellipsis for the common parts of the path, so that it's much more straightforward to identify the distinction for specific container images that you're looking for. And then lastly, again, this is more about the maturity of our package and container registry capabilities. But previously, you couldn't adjust the visibility of specifically the container registry and the package registry independent from the project visibility. And in 15.2, we're going to enable you to have more granular control over, for example, having code that is not publicly visible, but a container registry or a package registry that is. So another great usability improvement for organizations looking to adopt more and more of GitLab. So again, those are just some of the highlights in the ops section for 15.2. With that, I will hand it over to Giannis for the enablement section.
I'm sorry, I was muted. Thank you, Kenny. I'm really excited by the pipeline simulator and exposing it to more users. So let me take us through enablement. I have multiple exciting things to share with you, but also first a reminder that we are working on multiple long-term and under the hood updates, like for example, the batch background migrations framework, the Red Hat operator certification, or addressing memory issues for PUM and background workers, and other initiatives that I'm not going to discuss in detail. If you're interested in more details, please check the Kickoff videos by the enablement groups on our Kickoff page. And let me get started with a GitLab hosted first theme. And the first one is from the starting group. We're planning to roll out the composition to production, to GitLab.com production on Saturday, July 2nd. So as a quick recap, we're working on the composition for the past year. The idea here is that before the composition, GitLab worked with a single database cluster. So our challenge right now is that we can add as many replicas as we may want to scale up reads, but in PostgreSQL, all writes have to go through the main database server. And the problem here is that there is a limit on how much you can scale a database server, a single server. There is a limit on how many CPUs or memories you can add. So in order for us to be able to keep on scaling for years to come, we have to approach it in a different way. So what we are doing with decomposition is that we are splitting the database to two databases. So we will, after the composition, we will have the main database and we will have the CI database where we will store all the data related to the CI/CD features. And this is very exciting for GitLab's availability and reliability. We expect that after this rollout, we will more or less double the capacity, the database capacity for GitLab.com. And we also expect increased performance from day one after the rollout and also in years to come. And in addition to that, increased stability, reliability, and availability with less incidents happening. So this is a very exciting feature for us. July 2nd will be the rollout date. Moving to the Geo group, where we are continuing our work on our self-service framework and improving the underlying tools that for replicating content from primary to multiple secondaries. So the value here is that we have a lot of custom code for supporting each different type of content that we want to replicate. So by moving everything to our self-service framework, we're consolidating everything on a single framework, and that allows us to maintain everything more easily and focus on adding the other content, more features that add value rather than maintaining old code. So in 15.1, the Geo group has added support for OCI images, and in 15.2, we're going to continue with adding support for BuildKit cast manifest, and also work on the longer-term initiatives for moving projects and wikis, as well as the container registry to the self-service framework. And moving to the key workflow usability improvements and the global search group, we're planning to add filtering by programming language to our code search. So this is something we are not doing right now. So this is very important for large projects where you can have terms all over the place. You may have the same term on files related to the backend, to the front end, configuration files, on translated projects. So this is a big deal because we may have tens of hundreds of translations with the same term repeated again and again. And if you have, for example, a backend developer, they may only be interested on Ruby or Java files, while a front-end developer is interested in JavaScript and Vue files. So we anticipate that this update will greatly improve the usability of GitLab as an online source viewer and browser. So in 15.2, we are planning to add the backend updates that will support this feature, and then move on follow-up milestones to adding the front-end components and releasing it to the GitLab users. And moving to the next one, we know, and we have multiple reports, that the autocomplete dropdowns may sometimes take some time to load. And this behind the scenes, this is related to trying to fetch things from all over the place. So for example, if I write memory, we're trying to fetch things from merge requests, issues, epics, and everything. So here we want to speed this up by running all the queries in parallel and fetching the results and showing the results to the user as quickly as the first results come back. And finally, an update to our search results page. We're planning to move the scope filters from up here that they are right now to the left, so that will allow us to push up the search results and move more search results above the fold, which is very important for search results because users most of the times check the results that are above the fold, and at the same time increase browsability. That's it for enablement. Audit is yours.
Thank you, and it's really exciting things, especially around the improvements to search, and really exciting to see the decomposition work coming to production. So for the dev section, we have quite a lot of things to go through, so I'll try to rush through them. Again, through our themes for GitLab hosted first. The workspace team is adding 2 features. One is API support for immediate group deletion. With this feature, users can mark an individual group for immediate deletion via group settings in the UI, the option is currently only in the UI, and there's no option to use it for API. This helps users create cleanup scripts to better utilize their storage and delete unused groups, and it should improve performance and reduce timeouts over time. This is even an internal request from our own QA team. So excited to see this. Continuing with the hosted first, the workspace team is going to continue working on consolidation of group and project member management. In previous milestones, we had worked on creating a project namespace, which will create a similar experience between groups and projects which currently kind of behave differently. And this will allow us to have member management work in the same way between projects and groups. And this is a stepping stone in the foundation of allowing features ultimately to move from one to another. The group editor is going to continue working on replacing the web ID with VS Code. In this milestone, we're focused on the Git module and virtual file system, which will allow this to eventually just run fully from the browser. So it's a really exciting effort that we're working on. Source code is working on highlighting source code syntax on the front end. They're completing the work from switching from server-side transformations for files to client-side syntax highlighting, and this will improve the rendering time for large files, which will now make this 50% times faster. So really excited to see this performance improvement. And still on the source code group, they're going to be working on applying GitLab SaaS IP allow listing for SSH. This is going to allow limiting access based on IP addresses, which will be applied to SSH on gitlab.com. Until now, only the API and UI supported such access restrictions, and now SSH access will be blocked as well. So exciting security improvement as well. Moving to the next theme, which is improving our key workflow usability. The compliance team is going to be working on enhancement to custom HTTP headers for streaming audit events, which we will finalize for the API itself and start working on the UI for doing this as well. And they will be working on adding event type information for audit events. This is really important because currently everything has kind of the same message, and here you can create custom messages that will allow you to easily differentiate between different audit events. And this will give folks an easier ability to see what type of audit event they're receiving without having to write a complicated parser to figure it out themselves. The group authentication and authorization are going to be working on two initiatives, including security and performance improvements, which is supporting email sending via Microsoft Graph API with OAuth 2. So Microsoft has announced that they're going to be deprecating the basic authentication for SMTP. So we will upgrade our authentication to OAuth for outgoing emails to support this. And they're going to also work on a really exciting effort that we've been hearing from a lot of customers, a lot of customer requests, especially around enterprises, which is domain verification. This is really exciting because we're going to be using our Pages infrastructure to do this. And what this is going to do is that any user matching your corporate domain that's already verified in Pages will be able to be claimed as an enterprise user. So this will allow easier management of enterprise users. Group import is working a lot of improvements for the GitHub importer. Among them, two that I'll mention. One is allowing canceling in progress imports. Today, there's no way to cancel a progress import that started. So now we're going to add the ability to cancel that. And in addition to that, they're going to be implementing import issue events from GitHub. So there's a whole list of events in this issue that are stated, some that I'll just mention so that you understand what kind of events, reopening, assigning issues, and so on, that we're going to be importing into GitLab itself. Moving on to code review, the merge requests widget working group is working on facelifting the MR experience. So I'm just going to show you what this looks like. This is going to look like in this milestone. You can see this new merge request that has this new orange exclamation point, and you can see that it's pretty easy to understand the degradation and improvements that happen. This is the new UI versus the old one, so this is kind of a sneak peek into what this is going to look like. And this is going to be also integrating with YAML extension to provide GitLab CI YAML autocompletion. So today, When you want to kind of reuse keys, it's really hard to remember what you need to do, and you usually need to open another file and copy and paste it. And so what this is going to do is kind of auto-complete it. So it'll make life of the GitLab Ciaml editor easier, the person who's writing it. So excited to see that, which leads us into our extending our lead in CI/CD. So on top of this specific issue, the Optimize team is working on two main efforts this milestone for this. Sorry, I skipped. So continuing with usability workflow, the project management team is working on, we recently are going to enable a lot of work that we did around task, which is a sub issue that can be linked to an issue, so a task. And we're going to be adding support for adding assignee to a task, as well as updating weights and viewing it on the task itself. And now back to Optimize, and what we're going to add in terms of lead in CI/CD is adding the fourth DORA metric trend chart. So we recently completed adding API support. Now we're going to follow up with the chart itself. And last but not least, we're going to be improving the way that people can view usability improvement, usability improvement that you can easily see today on the task by type chart. It's really hard to find how you're going to filter and sort. It goes by labels. And so we're going to be improving this experience so that it will be easier to use and more intuitive. And passing it to you, David, to wrap up.
Thanks, Arit, and thank you, everyone, for presenting the great highlights that you did today. There's so many great things coming out with GitLab 15.2. I only have a moment to highlight a couple ones that jumped out to me. I will repeat what Kenny, Arit, and everyone said, that there's way more than what I'm going to mention here, so please check out all the details. But for GitLab Hosted First, moving projects and wikis, as well as the registry, to the self-service framework, applying GitLab SaaS IP allow listing for SSH, and the role of the decomposed CI database for GitLab.com. For improved workflow usability, adding search filtering by programming language, introducing tasks, which is our first work item from the work items initiative, add event type information to audit events, group subgroup level scan execution policies, and operational container scanning moving to GA. For extender lead in CI/CD, adding the fourth DORA metric change failure rate as a new trend chart, simulate pipelines under conditions with the pipeline simulator. I gotta say, I geeked out a little bit on that when Kenny was talking about that one. Child MR test reports linked to parent pipelines, and set the number of deployment approvals in CI/CD settings. Again, please check out the release kickoff page. It includes the full list of items, and make sure to like and comment on the issues you want to engage with the team on. Also, in just 2 days, on Thursday, June 23rd at 8 a.m. Pacific time, we'll be hosting a special event for GitLab 15 where we'll unveil the latest iteration of the One DevOps platform. As part of this event, you will hear from the best-selling author and DORA co-founder Gene Kim on the future of DevOps. You will learn about how GitLab will evolve the One DevOps platform to meet that future and support your career aspirations, and discover how GitLab 15 will help your team deliver secure software while remaining compliant and automating manual processes. To learn more about it, there's actually a great landing page here. So let me see if I can't find the page I want to share, which I cannot. That tells you have too many windows open. But it's easy to register. You just go to about.gitlab.com/15. You can use the numbers 15 or spell the word 15, and you can register for the event. The event's going to be awesome. I might be biased because I'm presenting on it, but trust me, it's going to be well worth your time to register and check it out. And DJ Graffiti will be doing some pre-music before the event kicks off, so check that out as well. Thank you all for watching this release kickoff, and have a great rest